Welcome to DeFi Crypto and Airdrops, where we try to teach wealth preservation here on Mondays. We also, on Tuesdays and Fridays, we have Crypto and Chill. This is our Money Talks edition. But we have Crypto and Chill on Tuesdays and Fridays, where we just talk about, kind of the news and what's going on, and, a little bit about DeFi, crypto and airdrops. And on Wednesdays, we talk about advanced DeFi strategies with David and Jake Call. And on Thursdays, we've actually started doing, I'm not sure what to call it yet, but we're going to start doing an evening show where we just get based. We just talk about, everything that it is to, to be a free person in this world, and, kind of what you need to do and what you need to be aware of to, ensure that you stay free. So, Taylor, do you want to walk us through, want to make sure that people know where to find you, just kind of introduce yourself and your website here.
Yeah, so I started WG Law back in 2009. We have 5 attorneys that work for us, but we work mainly in the area of elder law, estate planning, probate. We do handle litigation through some of the attorneys in our office. But mainly what we do is try to help people just design and structure things for themselves, especially those that are facing retirement. And then on our, just so like people understand what an elder law attorney is mostly we handle long-term care issues. So, people ending up in a nursing home, or, there's some type of disability, those type of issues. And then on WG Plan, that is our RIA. Basically, we use a structure, 4-pronged structure, where we work with people and not just the traditional buy hold strategy of the market, but we do a lot of trend investing, which is we watch the trends, and we have certain signals that we follow, and we buy or sell based upon whether we are in bullish trend, and we sell if things hit bearish trend, and we invest mostly in winners. So we're watching the market to see if things are winning or not. But that's what WG Plan right there. And then Myke and I, we have DeFi Wize, which is our basically we analyze and we give you the data of whether we're a bullish trend or bearish trend on the major cryptos, the risk ranges that you should be investing within. We kind of put that all together. Maybe we should put gold and silver in too. Should I start doing gold?
That would be, I think that would be smart.
Yeah, because it is a very interesting dynamic that we have creating right now with gold and silver. And so, and I think a lot of people that do with crypto. So I'll start adding that in the ranges. Of course, both of them have been blowing off the top end of the ranges consistently, but that means it's bullish trend. That's usually what you want to be investing in. And so I'll add that into the daily newsletter that we do every day. The market is open. I have to use the market numbers. Basically, our volatility and everything is, even though we do it with, I know, Bitcoin and crypto in general, that is 24 hours. The reality of our situation is a lot of the data that I have to use is based on option contracts and different things like that. And so in order for us to get that data, it's usually done during trading hours of the major markets. So, but so far so good. It's working very well. And hopefully we can keep this up. Right now, we are flirting with Bitcoin and Ethereum flipping bullish. I thought it was going to do it today, but it didn't. It's still in neutral, but it's a good time to DeFi it when it's in neutral. It's just the general rule needs to be is when we go bearish trend, I tell people just get out and wait. Those bearish trends can last months for sometimes, but in our last trend, I only think it really was bearish for about 2 months. And then around November is when it went neutral.
Yeah, those of you that don't know, DeFi, depending on the strategies that you're using, you can take advantage of almost any market. So if markets are pumping, there's certain pools you can get into, certain lending, things like that, because when the markets are pumping, people are wanting to borrow money to get into trading positions, things like that. So a lot of the yield goes up. But when things are trending sideways, you can do tighter ranges. And with tighter ranges and range liquidity pools, you can earn higher yield. And then, of course, when the market's going down, there's actually ways that you can short the market, using DeFi. So there's a lot of different strategies that you can use. And of course, a lot of it comes with education and, because you want to make sure that you do it properly. There's a lot of risks involved, as there is with any investing. So, make sure that you're, tuning in. And on our YouTube channel, I'm actually messaging the founder of Arena and trying to. This is Arena. This is a blockchain based on Avalanche social media platform that we just started streaming on, and it's a great platform. But I'm hoping that their UI ends up being a little more like a library with our live streams, because then we can put our courses on it. So I messaged the founder, and hopefully we'll hear back. I know a couple of people, Colin, that I've been talking with, that's going to be coming on the show, is kind of an OG from the Avalanche team. And of course, on the 20th, we're having Shaw, the COO and the co-founder of Canton Network. We're doing an interview on the 20th. And so it will probably be airing a couple days after that. But yeah, I'm really hoping that they kind of give that interface on Arena to where we're able to do that, because I mean it's such a powerful tool, to be able to put out a series to where people can go through it step by step. Because the way that it currently is, if you go to somebody's somebody's profile, it's just kind of more like a Twitter stream. It's all the different posts and things like that are just kind of in a line like this. So I'm hoping. So anyway, well, what do you want to talk about today? I mean,
let's jump back to Friday night. We talked about Braun. Let's go in there. And have you seen how much that you made?
Yeah, I can share that. So tomorrow, well, actually, Jeff, tomorrow evening on Crypto and Chill, we're actually going to go through step by step, and Jeff is going to sign up and actually enter into a position. But let me pull up my Braun position.
I did the 100 grand one. So I want to compare with you what the difference was.
Of course you did.
Well, I guess it's not 100. It's 100 Canton, 100,000 worth of Canton.
That's still a lot of money. All right. So this is my account here. And what I've been making.
So go back. It tells you what they paid you on the other page right there.
Well, right here, it has. So I'm paying $20 a month for to be able to do all this, for the Braun platform, but I'm actually earning more than it cost me. So basically, I'm earning $25 in Canton token by paying that $20. I'm also, I'm just doing 10,000 and 10,000, 10,000 Canton tokens and 10,000 Braun tokens. And for that, I'm earning currently about 62 tokens a day. Current valuation, that's about $10.
So you got about $10 each day?
Yeah. So I'm earning about $300 a month of free Canton.
All right. So like mine was, because I did it yesterday. I only did it for yesterday. And so it was 86 if you did the 100,000 Canton.
So you're making 86 tokens a day?
No, $86.
Oh, $86. Oh, yeah, you're making. Oh, well, I mean, I guess that sounds about right.
That's probably equivalent to what you're doing.
10x, roughly 10x.
Yeah, because it's yeah, because you have to put in about yeah, I guess 10 times what you have. So
Yeah,
maybe
so it's
less.
about $8.40, and you have 10 times the amount of tokens. So you're making about there is a small bonus for each tier. I forget what it is. I've been looking for it. When I was first signing up, it was showing me. But there is a small bonus for the higher tiers.
So, but I don't know if it necessarily is as worth it in the sense of because you have to put brawn in too of that amount.
Yes.
So you don't make anything off the brawn. So that's the trade off. Is I don't think it amplifies that because it's only really paying you in Canton. So it really just doing the lowest tier still works. But now explain this on there because you said you pay that it's called the Canton billing reward. So I didn't really understand like so I'm paying to be part of these plans and then they're going to give me Canton for it.
So the way that I understood it is if you enter this where you have, the Braun token and the Canton token, you don't have to pay the $20 a month. But again, I saw that if you can pay the $20 a month, but you get $25 back for paying that $20. So it's basically like a free $5 a month of Canton token.
Okay, and so they just give you the Canton token. So, but that's theoretically, I guess Canton could go down in value, so you could lose that. But still, if you're getting it every month, then it could flow in. But yet, that was one thing I thought about. But you'd have to be kind of aware of that because at the end of the day, they can turn that off at any time, and then
Yes.
you.
Yes. So basically, Braun is just the custodian. They don't control this program. The Canton Foundation, they're the ones that are controlling this. And I'm still doing some research into what exactly they're doing with these tokens. My guess is they're using them for liquidity for the validators and super validators, things like that. So that's my guess. Again, I'm still kind of doing my research. We'll also of course be doing that interview. I'm finalizing the questions for that interview. So if any of you have questions for the Canton team, specifically the COO Shaw, if you want to contact me on X, it's just at. Actually, here I'll pull it up real quick. Go to my profile. Just veteran for crypto. Oh, here, let me share it. There you go. So this is my profile on X. Just veteran, the number 4, and then crypto. And if you want to send me a message, or just tag me in a post, I'm more than happy to add any questions that you all have to, because I don't want this to be softball. Those of you out there, I want you to understand that we are not paid. Any people that we have on that we interview, any projects we talk about, we are not paid with crypto or cash in any way whatsoever. All of our coverage is 100% unbiased, other than the fact that, a lot of times we're bullish on the projects and we've invested in the token. But we want to ask questions that, negative things too. We don't want softball questions. We want to ask, why should we buy the Canton token? Because, other than, the fact that, I'm very bullish on the project, but I really want, and I have an idea myself, but I really want Shaw to explain how potentially the revenue, the massive revenue that they're already generating on Canton Network, how that translates to profits for the token holders. What is that mechanism in the tokenomics that allows that value to flow to token holders? So, these are the kind of questions that I really want to ask him, but I want you all to contribute questions as well, because I know a lot of you out there have questions. I see it on social media all day. Do you have any questions, Taylor?
So with Canton, what I really want to understand is, okay, like what is the value of someone holding your coin? Like, what is it that, where where are you guys pegging the value for this? Because it's like, is it just because it's a cool project? Because I was looking, I think they've only released about 5 billion of their coins. They still got another 35 billion that they could release. And so,
well, there's actually an infinite supply, but they do have a burn mechanism. So as the more network activity there is, the more adoption there is, the more that the network grows and is used, then more is burned. So they call it an equilibrium. So once the network grows to a certain point, then the burn will outpace the mint and it will become deflationary. So as of right now, we haven't reached that equilibrium.
So like, so find out like what would, where does that have to get to start making that happen? And so that would help, and how do they foresee getting to it? For this to really become a deflationary asset, I want to know, how do you guys foresee, how much of this market are you guys needing to get into in order for that to happen?
So this is a website, all of you out there know that watch the show. I'm huge into data because, I would like to stay logical about my investing. This is Canton Scan, /stats. You can go up here to statistics and there's a lot of really good information. So this is the, chart or graph on the daily burn activity, the burn to mint ratio, and the the mint activity, the burn activity, and the burn mint ratio. So you can see that the burn activity right now is spiking. It's starting to go back up because that means that the network, there's an increased usage. Now you can see the mint activity is decreasing. So again, we need to, and that's a very good question to ask, Taylor, is at what point does that equilibrium occur? At what point in network usage, and where are they at? So like if that's at, and I'm just going to make this up, if that's at 10,000 or 1 million transactions a day, what are the current transactions a day? That kind of thing.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'll go to that and see if I can kind of make some sense of it. So
there's also this as well, Canton.thetie.io. And that has the current Canton supply, the amount of super validators, the total validators, the implied market cap, the current price of the token, and then daily fees. Like right now, this is the highest I've ever seen it. $1.7 million in fees per day is what Canton is earning right now.
Where do those fees go?
So these fees are paid for basically like Bank of America, JP Morgan Chase, all these banks and institutions that are using the network. Whenever they pay these fees, those fees are burned. That is the burn mechanism. But the super validators and the validators are earning newly minted tokens on the other end. So that's what's happening is there's constantly new tokens being minted and there's constantly tokens being burnt. But right now, the mint is outpacing the burn because we haven't reached that equilibrium yet. As the network usage increases like it is right now, then we'll reach a point to where there's as much being burned than is being minted. And then as that keeps increasing, the network usage, then the burn will outpace the mint. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah. All right.
Oh man, we got Sack Nasty and Uncle Tommy in the chat. Yeah, those of you that don't know, we are migrating back to our old channel. We're having some issues with YouTube and the bigger channel that we were using, and it's just for some reason it's not allowing us to grow. So I did some tests and saw a lot more potential to grow the old channel. So those of you that catch this stream, make sure that you go back to our channel, DeFi, Crypto, and Airdrops.
Why don't you show everybody what it is on YouTube?
Okay.
That way they can see and subscribe to it so they know where you're at.
Yeah. So if you see this owl logo, you're on the right one. And this one only has 457 subscribers so far. So if you could, please come over and follow us there. We're gonna start focusing on this channel, and that's the only place on YouTube that we're gonna be streaming. We're not gonna be streaming into multiple channels anymore. Everybody's gonna be in one channel in the chat, so they can all chat to each other, and then also on the arena. This is our account on the arena, and we're focusing massively on growing this. The reason being is you can talk about whatever you want on the arena. There's no censorship. They don't, penalize your channel if you talk about unpopular things. We're all about freedom of speech here. So, by all means.
What's the YouTube actual name of, like, the @ thing?
Just DeFi Crypto Airdrops with an S. The big channel is just DeFi Crypto Airdrop, no S. So just add an S on it.
Very clever. Very, very. All right, add the S at the end.
Yeah, that's what I'm waiting for too, Uncle Tommy, is the app to come out for the arena. Oh, we got Wispy in here. What up, Wispy?
Whoops. It does not want to pull up the airdrops with the S.
Yeah, it's a little harder to find because it's a smaller channel, and and I just started pushing our content there. So
there it is. There it is.
Yeah, it's a little hard to find.
There we go. There we go. I got it now. Okay, so we can talk a little bit about the market. So if everybody saw that silver is up 8% again today. I think it was Citibank by February 1st. They have to liquidate out of $4.5 billion worth of shorts. So
short squeeze.
Yep, it's continuing that short squeeze, and it's just the reality of the situation, which is there is not enough silver right now for what they project is what is currently needed, and really with all the technology coming out, what is going to be needed going into the near future here of actual technological development. So it's been good on those things. Right now, silver's gone up a lot. If you're like, oh, I'm scared about getting to silver, you can also look at silver miners because ultimately, if this price continues to go up, the silver miners stocks have been really low, and there's a potential for a 10x on their stocks going up if silver keeps going, because they're selling it. So let me pull up one that's
well, go ahead and share your screen. I can bring it up.
Oh, I don't want to show my screen. I'm going to pull up my account here. Want people seeing my money. But I'm going to look up and get the ticker symbols if people want to just go buy it on their in their investment accounts or anything like that. One that's kind of like I want to call it a gamble, but they do own the largest silver mine in the United States. It's right up there in Idaho, and that's AG. That's the ticker symbol, just A and G. One that pays a dividend that's it's more like it's like an ETF where they invest in a bunch of different ones, is RIO. Over the past 6 months, they're already up 35%. But these are the ones, like, ultimately at the end of the day, if silver keeps going up, these silver miners are, they're going to be printing money. So, they should be able to pull out. But generally, RIO ticker symbol, that's an A-rated company for silver miners. They're a very well-run company. They pay a 4.6 annual dividend. So, that's showing really good.
Well, maybe explain to people out there that might not know, what a dividend is, and why that's so important.
So a dividend is just basically it's income that's to you. So one of the negatives about dividends is that you have to report it as income. It's one benefit of stock is that it grows tax-free until you sell it. And so you can have large gains into an asset. And then when you sell it, if it's over a year, you only have to pay 15% long-term capital gains under a certain amount. And so a dividend, though, is, hey, we're going to pay out the profits that were made. And so RIO pays a 4.6, which is, that's a pretty good dividend. Now it's been up the last 4 quarters. They've beat their projections, so they've done well. And so I imagine if silver continues to go where people think it's going to go, then they're going to have massive profits that they're going to hopefully they're taking this money and using it in the sense of reinvesting in different things like that. And so we can get more silver out of the ground that we need to actually do the things that we need to do. But right now, it's, even though it's holding at all-time high, I will let people know if it goes bearish, because you'll probably see a big pullback. But generally right now in the market, it's kind of across the board. The markets are still going up. There is not really a bearish trend on very much stuff. And that's just because if you're not familiar with what's going on, the divide
they're about to run hot.
Yeah, well, the divide between the haves and have-nots is just growing, and the sad reality really right now is that the wealthy just keep getting a lot wealthier, and they're just taking their money and put it in the markets.
Yeah,
and you can fight them or join them, and until it collapses, then I join. But I would subscribe to if you want an alert when we get something, you can either subscribe to our newsletter or keep watching Michael's channel. If I get some really bad news, like, hey, people in the know usually start buying, shorts when they know something's about to happen, and you get the signal. And so Michael, I'll tell you, and then we'll do like an emergency YouTube. We can do one of these shows and explain when shit's going to actually hit the fan, because it will. This isn't going to go up forever like this. There's going to be a massive correction one of these days.
Well, and I have a question from the chat here real quick. Without creating wealth, how can you preserve it? I mean, I kind of know, my answer to that, but, you as a professional, what would be your answer to that?
So if I could express the most valuable thing is you. Like, I try to explain this, like I run a bunch of businesses, and at any time, laws could change, things could totally wipe out what I do in my career. And, I have partners in some of my businesses, and, we'll have meetings, and they get really, well, what if this happens? What if that happens? And we go out of business. And I have to look at my partner and go, me and you have nothing to worry about, because we both are disciplined and work. The people who we have to fear about is a lot of our employees that have not disciplined themselves and are not willing to put in the work ethic. So at the end of the day, like, if you are your best asset, as long as you have ability to get up and work, you have nothing to fear. The moment you decide, I don't want to do anything, and I just want a bunch of money in a bank account, well, then you got to always worry about whether the market's working or whatever happens. Like Michael, I never worry about it. Michael can survive even if the whole world blew up. I couldn't. I would have to go find him and be like, Michael, help me survive. But at the end of the day, it's like we spend so much time worrying about the numbers on our bank accounts instead of worrying about our own abilities. Like, you know, and a lot of it is psychological. Like I've gone through periods of my time of my life where I just hated what I do. I didn't want to work. I hated coming to work.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I really had to like deep down figure out, okay, you know, I got to live this life. And do I want this life to be hell? Because at the end of the day, if it's going to be hell, then, you know, it's going to be a long life. But how can I make it so I enjoy every day what I do? And a lot of it is just psychologically getting yourself to a point where you see the value you're offering to other people.
Well, it's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy. You know, if you get in that downward spiral to where you don't want to go to work and you don't want to, get up and get stuff done, then, because you're, miserable and, you don't see, a future, or, you don't see any progress, then it's basically just going to make it worse. You have to get out there, you have to keep fighting, you have to keep, swinging. And eventually, it's gonna bear fruit, if you're making smart moves. But I wanted really quick to address this, because I understand what he's saying. Without creating wealth, so without having money, how can you preserve it? So, it's a very good question. Why would you, take steps to preserve wealth you don't have already? And my answer to that is there are things you can do, like small business formation. And I want, Taylor, I want you to go into detail on this. Like before you make the money, before you get the assets, to where you structure these shelters, these tax shelters, to where you have them in place. So as you're buying these assets, it's that business that's buying those assets, not you as an individual. So you're taxed differently. But you have to have these things in place before you are, earning, before you are cashing out these things. You can't, have, all this crypto, make a bunch of money, cash it out, and then, start building small businesses to mitigate your taxes and things like that. I mean, am I correct in that, Taylor?
Yeah. So it's like a lot of people, the reason why you can't get, I mean, at the end of the day, it's not how much you make, it's how much you spend. That's the problem. So like, in order to create wealth, you got to figure out the expense part, but that's not where we focus all our attention. We always focus on, well, if I made more money, then I'd be rich. Well, no, because the more money that you end up making, the more
you
got
spend.
more takes from you. Yeah. Like,
Yeah. And the more you spend.
yeah. Like I'll have people come in that, finally they make a breakthrough in their life and they're making really good income. And then, they're coming in, every year to, do things, do tax planning, do things, but they aren't getting any wealthier because they didn't fix the problem, which is them. Like they spend every penny that they have. And so it's like, in order to generate wealth, you have to fix the problem, which is the outflow. And taxes are one of the biggest things that it is the biggest expense that you have is the government is they will take from you. Like I have surgeons that make, $900,000 a year and maybe have $100,000 to their name. And you think to yourself, how is that possible that you can make $900,000 a year and not have save anything? And well, they live the lifestyle, they spend the money and so they didn't discipline themselves. And some of them are heading towards retirement and you're like, you're not close to being able to retire in any meaningful way because you didn't fix the problem. And so, if I was, starting off at the very beginning, going back and talking to Taylor, that's starting his career, it would be like, learn accounting, stupid. Like, figure out where your money's going and take a little time every month to go through your bank account and to see, you know, how many times I go back in there and go, oh shoot, I forgot I signed up for that subscription.
Yeah.
You know, and just be like, okay, I've been paying for the last 6 months for that, you know, worthless thing that I didn't need.
Well, and it might not seem like a lot, but maybe it's like $20, but $20, over, 10 months is $200, over a year is $240. I mean, what would you do? What could you do with $240, as far as an investment or something like that? And then multiply that by, however other, subscriptions that you forgot you had. I do the same thing. I mean, Taylor knows, my military retirement, it's not a huge check every month, but I'm very, very good at watching my finances. I was able to retire at 40 because, I don't have any debt. I made sure that my property I bought, I paid cash. The cabin that I built, I paid cash for it, and I did the labor myself. That's what he was talking about with getting up and getting the work done. Do you think I wanted to? Well, it was kind of cool, but not everybody wants to live in a tent in the woods and build their own house. But because I did that, I don't have a mortgage now. And I mean, how many people out there, like, what could you do without a mortgage? If you weren't paying, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a month in a mortgage or rent, what could you do with that money to change you and your family's life? It's these small things that add up. Paying a cash for a car so that you don't have a car payment. Not going out and getting that $5 coffee or, $10 coffee at the coffee shop. Doesn't seem like a lot, but again, that's $5, $10 a day. For some people, that's an hour's worth of work.
Yeah. And there's like, there's a guy that I love his TikToks, but basically he was done with working, and he had saved up everything he owned was like $1 million. And he went to his wife and he said, I'm done working. And she said, no, you're not. I need you to keep making money because to live my lifestyle. And he said, yeah, I'm done. And, I've figured everything out. I really just need to lower my expenses, and then I'll have plenty of money. And he goes, and we're going to move to this island. This is in the Caribbean, and this is where we're going to live. And I think he learned how to scuba dive, and he was going to just help do scuba diving with people. And she said no, and so they filed for divorce, and he took half the money. And he goes, I made it work off of $500,000, but he goes, because when I was working, I wasn't saving any money living in the U.S., but now just teaching people how to scuba dive and go on those scuba diving adventures. And he lives on an island, and he goes, I live the life that I've always wanted. And so it's like, we are conditioned to think a certain way and behave a certain way. And like, I can't do this life like that because I have 5 children. I've made a choice to have 5 kids, and I gotta finance them, and they can't just go live anywhere I think I want to live. They have lives. And so, but you don't have to do the way everybody else is doing. You can really think outside the box. And I think that's one of the biggest mistakes that we make is we never really sit down and think things through. Michael's been in the military and then been retired since 40, but you're still have way more wealth. You have no debt. Like you're completely debt free. You own properties in Hawaii and other places, and you do a bunch of crypto investing. You didn't do that by getting paid, hundreds of $1,000s a year. You just did that out of discipline.
Yeah, no, I never in my life have I made 6 figures. It's it really is. And Cash, brings up a good point. He's just, is talking about, so we have to be less materialistic, but it's easier to say when I have a Rolls Royce in my garage, life is limited. We need to fulfill it. Question. All your points are valid and on point, just an opinion. So yeah, no, I mean, it's that what we're trying to say here is not to never, spend your money or enjoy life. What we're saying is if you're just getting started and, you don't have the Rolls Royce in the garage, and you don't have the mansion or whatever it is that you want to have. If you want to homestead, out in the country and have, baby sheeps and, freaking, baby cows and chickens and all that stuff and raise your kids and homeschool them. We all have different dreams. What we're saying is having the discipline to not constantly go after that instant gratification. You see your neighbor with the wakeboard boat, so you go get the wakeboard boat. You see them go get the BMW, so you go get the BMW. Can you hold off on that stuff? Can you drive the old Toyota Corolla because it gets you to where you're going, so you don't have that car payment, so that you can invest more, so you can do more, so that you can get to the finish line quicker? Do you want to work your whole life and to the day you die to maintain your lifestyle? Or do you want to work your ass off, live well within your means, and retire at 30, 40, 50 instead of like 70 or 80, or maybe not at all? Because the way that our economy is going, you have the dollar being inflated. You have Social Security that who knows if it's even going to be there for a lot of us. And a lot of people that are just struggling to survive, let alone have anything in the bank to invest. So, this is the kind of things that we're talking about, and why we do this Monday show is we understand that people are struggling. We see it. It's, but a lot of it comes down to nobody's coming to save you. You need to take personal responsibility, and part of that is education.
So let's go. How can I increase my income? Because of course, if you can increase your income and control your expenses, you're going to see an exponential growth to your wealth very quickly. And so, well, how do I increase my income? Well, income is usually based upon perceived value that you offer. Okay. Now, there is fake value you can offer and get paid a lot of money. All right. We call that politicking. So like you can go and convince a company that you're really valuable, and everybody knows these people in their company. They're people that are very good at manipulating people who have the money to pay them a bunch of money to do a job, but at the end of the day, where real value where you're really going to see the difference is your ability to increase the value that you offer a company. So I'll use an example. I had this great employee. She started off as a receptionist. Her ability, and the key thing is here, this is what I want you to know. She had an incredible ability to focus and get things done. Most people, their minds are just overtaken with something, but when she was at work, she was laser focused and got things done. And I, paid her more and more and more. I paid her up to a point where I'm like, I just can't pay you anymore. And then, when she came to me and was like, I got a better job offer, I said, you need to take it. Like, yeah. If that big, and it's a big downtown law firm, can pay you that, go for it, because I can't, generate that amount of income anytime soon to pay you at that rate for the position that she's in. And so I was more than happy for her, but it was beautiful to watch how disciplined she was in her focus. Mm-hmm. And if you can learn to, at the end of the day, all of us know this, you have so much energy to get through a day. Mm-hmm. If you're overwhelmed with so many things going on in your life, it will drain you. And then you'll get home, and instead of working on something or doing something, you're going to sit there and doom scroll all night long, because you have nothing left in the tank. And so really working on yourself, offering the most amount of value you can, and then understanding your value. Because I know there's a lot of people that hold companies together and are doing all the work, but then they feel like they owe this company something, like they have to work for it. And it's like, no, the exchange you make with a company is they pay you a salary and you do the work. And there's a point where maybe that company can't pay you what you're really worth, and you need to go find that next opportunity where somebody can. And so, but you really have to understand, it's like you can choose either path. You can fake it and try to politic your way through all these things, but eventually those people get found out.
They get weeded out. Yeah, they get found out.
You know, unless you're in some kind of large company, you know, like Pepsi or something like that, that they can blow money and not even worry about it, you know. But most businesses, at the end of the day, they know who the valuable employees are. And often, a lot of times, it's like they manipulate those people into thinking they're not very valuable because they don't want you to leave.
What would be some, and quick shout out to the arena. We actually have more viewers on the arena than on YouTube and X combined. So I can't get over the just how good of a platform it is. Sorry. But I guess my question would be is, I mean, because I know that, you know, I mean, those that don't know, Taylor's my brother. We come from very humble beginnings. You know, our dad was a special ed teacher, and for a long time, a single dad. And I don't know if you know, but teachers don't get paid a whole lot. And he had 5 young kids.
Yeah.
And so
when we were little, we got foreclosed on when we lived in a trailer.
A single wide trailer, not even a double wide.
We went and lived in the woods for a summer.
Yeah. So yeah, I went back to my roots, I guess. No, but what I want to get at with that is, you know, it's Taylor has done very well for himself. You know, he's, you know, has multiple law firms that he's opened now. He owns title companies. You know, he's done very well for himself. And a lot of that has to do with thinking outside the box, doing things that other people are not willing to do to succeed, you know, to be successful, you know, getting up when other people are still sleeping, staying up when other people have, you know, clocked out, you know, taking risks. You know, there's a lot of times where, you know, he's used every penny that he has just to keep the, you know, the lights on, to keep his, you know, business going before he got traction. So for anybody out there that's, you know, looking to try to get started as an entrepreneur, or, you know, get started in, you know, trying to get to the next level, I mean, other than discipline, you know, what are some tips that, you know, you would, you know, tell people to, you know, kind of put themselves ahead of their peers and to, you know, help them get ahead?
Well, of course, like you have to, you need to invest in yourself and knowledge. Like, you have to learn things. You have to be like, the most impressive employees I always have are those that they're never saying no. They always say, I'll do that, because they want to learn as much as they can. They're just like hungry for knowledge. They're always trying to figure things out, and they always end up, you know, whether they move on or they still work for me, they always end up in great positions, earning a good amount of money. And then the other thing for me was the hardest thing is overcoming fear of loss. Mm-hmm. And so, like, I used all the bad decisions I have ever made in investing.
Was
always centered around. Yeah, I got scared. And then I started a business, and it was right on the verge. I had spent like about 400 grand into it in getting this system built and everything. And my programmers came to me and said, hey, we got to hire 2 more programmers to make this happen. And I was like, I can't do this. And so, you know, that night I was just sick to my stomach, terrified about the whole situation. Like, this isn't going to work. And I decided the next day I'm done. So I went in and I said, hey guys, I'll pay you till you find new jobs, and helped everyone. Well, you know, my programmers quickly got jobs, but 2 weeks later, ChatGPT came out. And I later talked to one of my programmers. He's like, yeah, we wouldn't have needed 2 more programmers. We could have pretty much solved all the problems within weeks.
Yeah.
And it's like, you just don't know when those things are going to happen. But like, I always think back to it going, yeah, like, it's like every single time I'm making fear-based decisions, and there's so many times that people come in that like, they won't leave their job. They're really good at what they do, and they're like, I think I could do this, run my own company and do this. They're so scared of losing that paycheck, and it's like,
I will say that's a different animal. Being good at a thing, at a skill set, is very different than being good at a skill set and running a business doing it.
Yeah, managing that. Yeah, you have to be very consistent with no one telling you what to do. If you're very good at that, that's like that's hard for some people, because it's like, they're motivated from the fact that I got to get my paycheck.
Yeah.
But by themselves, they're just kind of like, well, I'm a free spirit. I kind of just do what I want to do. And you just can't not show up to work for 2 weeks when you're trying to run a small business. Like,
yeah.
Nope. There's a question on the thing that someone asked.
Well, which question?
I don't know. You popped something up just a second.
Oh, no. That was Jeff, Airdrop Jeff.
Okay.
He was just talking about his job. So recently he, was job hunting, because his job only wanted to give him a 5% increase after 2 years. And so he went and found a new job that was willing to give him a 10% increase in pay.
Yeah. It's something you got to kind of be aware of, like, our actual inflation since 2020 has been roughly about 9% a year. So if you're not getting close to that of an increase yearly, you're not keeping up with inflation.
You're actually losing money.
You're losing money. And so now I know a lot of these companies aren't increasing that either. So it's really hard on them. Like, I haven't upped my prices 40% since the downturn. And so, so it's like, or since 2020. And so it's like, I understand that, like, you might be working for someone, they just really can't pay you that much more. But it's like, sometimes, you outgrow a position you started in, because you disciplined yourself and you did what you were supposed to. And I understand loyalty is a big thing. If you're working for a small business owner and they're honest with you and they're trying their best, then there might be loyalty there. But corporations aren't, if you had an adverse event that happened to you, they're not going to just keep paying you. They're going to fire you. And so it's understanding that like, back in the day, loyalty to a corporation, because the corporation would stick by you.
Well, and they had pensions, and you were incentivized to do good long term. A lot of people, their pension was tied to the success of the company as well. So, it wasn't just showing up for a check. You were showing up to make the company successful, because, again, your retirement depended on the success of the company. It was, a symbiotic relationship. Whereas now, you don't really see that. That's one of the reasons I stayed in the military and got my retirement before moving on, because there's not a whole lot of places out there. They have 401ks and things like that, but it's not the same. It's not the same as helping grow a company, and you share in that success.
Yeah, and like, if you work for somebody and they're loyal to you, and they're good people, and you're like, hey, but that's different. That you can't always buy that. So like, a lot of times, like, I would take less pay to work for someone I trusted that would have my back, versus working for a giant corporation that can pay me more. But first time there's a downturn in the market, they're cutting you.
Yeah. No, it's, there's, since getting out of the military, there's actually a lot of jobs that I've taken where I haven't gotten paid, just because, they were willing to pay me in, stock options, or just, pay me in other ways. And I just, either the project was, super interesting, or I felt like there was something I could learn, like the mentorship or the network, that the people that they had access to. There was one, and I'll make this my closing thoughts. Out in New York, I went and lived in New York for a year and worked for a tech company. And the reason is it was before I got into crypto, and they were building a mesh network technology, super interesting and kind of ahead of its time. But I was able to sit in on meetings, high level meetings with, venture capitalists, with MasterCard, a bunch of really big names at very high levels, and got exposure on how all of that works. What is it that VCs look for when they're investing in a company? What is it that large institutions look for when they are going to invest in or potentially onboard to a tech company? It's, this kind of gives you insight into how it all works behind the scenes. So again, I didn't get paid for, for that year, but because of that, what I learned is it's actually served me quite well in crypto, because I understand what the relationship is between these projects and VCs, and how VCs are paid out. I understand how, what it means when their tokens are vested or not. I understand a lot of these nuances that a lot of people don't. I'm sorry, you were saying something?
Oh no, this is my chair. It dinged. Did it? So,
but yeah, so I mean, you have to think about that, and a lot of people don't have that flexibility, where they can work for free, but you might be able to get a part-time second job, with working for somebody for little or no pay, because they can mentor you and teach you things that can be very valuable. Working with somebody, getting access to their network, getting access to their, lifetime of knowledge. I mean, if they're super successful real estate investor and you want to become a successful real estate investor, if you can, work for them part-time for free or for very little, and you can learn from all of their mistakes. I mean, you can basically summarize, the learning curve that they went through to get where they're at by, having them mentor you. So there's a lot of ways that you can fast track your way to success. You just have to be willing to do things like that. Whereas other people are like, work for free? Hell no. If you're willing to do what other people aren't, you're going to put yourself ahead of your peers. So Taylor, closing thoughts.
I actually asked this to a lady that came in. She's starting a business, and I asked her this question because she was wanting to know, like, she goes, she wants to be wealthy. She wants to be really wealthy. She has the drive, and now she's starting her own business, and she's gotten some money. And so she goes, I'm going to invest in real estate. She goes, what should, where should I put, what should I be doing? And I asked her a question. The question was simple. And it was, if a genie like showed up to you and offered you $50 million or a pill that you could stay focused and dedicated to whatever you put your mind to, which one would you take? And of course, I go, almost everybody says the $50 million. Mm. And I said, if you really understood your real capacity, you would take the pill, because $50 million would be nothing compared to what you can accomplish if you can consistently stay focused on something and work towards it. Your life is so much wonderful, because I know, I have friends that have gotten ridiculously wealthy from starting business, or even clients, and their lives didn't improve when they got $50 million. Yeah, they have a big house. They have a bunch of numbers on a screen in an account. They travel wherever they want. And I remember one, he just got back from spending a long time abroad. And I go, how are the trees in that country? He goes, they're the same as they are here.
Yep.
And he wasn't any happier. I mean, the first 6 months were great after he got bought out, but now he's kind of lost on his purpose in life. He doesn't really know what to do. I mean, he gets to drive whatever vehicle he wants. He bought a plane and he flies it around. He's an awesome person and everything. But before, when he was working towards something, he seemed a lot happier and focused. Mm-hmm. It almost like the 50 million ruined like a part of him, where it was like he's kind of aimless now, like always trying to maintain that money.
Yeah.
Like, Yeah, you don't want to go down in the account. He wants it to go up, and so he's always looking at his bank accounts instead of like building something and doing something in this world.
Yeah. No, it's a lot of people confuse money with happiness. Some of the happiest people in my travels that I've seen are some of the poorest people. Some of the most grateful people that I've ever met are some of the poorest. And some of the most miserable people that I've ever met are some of the richest.
Yeah.
So don't confuse, money with happiness. It's like, can it be a contributor to happiness? Absolutely. Ensuring that there's a roof over your head and food on your table. Anything above the basics is gravy. Anything above a roof over your head, food on your table, gas in your car, just the basics to get by. Everything else is a bonus. Try to keep things in perspective. But anyway, I appreciate you, Taylor. And let's talk about that adding gold and silver.
Okay. I'll tomorrow morning I'll send you the ranges.
All right, sounds good. All right, well, I appreciate everybody in the chat over on the arena. Appreciate all of you tuning in and on YouTube and X. And until next time, Veteran Crypto out.